Thanks for tuning in to the Real Women Chronicles podcast. I am your international certified life coach, Tiadra Taylor. The sole purpose of this podcast is to get you from where you are now to where you want to be. Yes, it's time to break chains and to get unstuck. Thanks again for joining in. Let's begin. Hello, and thank you guys for joining in another Wednesday to the Real Women Chronicles podcast. If you were joining in on the Wednesday, of course, I am your host, certified life and relationship coach. I go by the name of Coach T, and I welcome all of you who are joining me for the very first time. If you are coming back yet again another week, we are 90 something episodes in. So thank you for just continuously listening to my podcast and I really pray that it's inspiring you all that are listening. So I am truly thankful that God is using me. Moving on, I have decided to rebrand the Real Women Chronicles podcast, the Real Women Chronicles IG page, and all of that good stuff. So if you follow me on IG, or if you don't follow me on IG, better yet, be sure to follow me at Real Women Chronicles. I have redone my logo. I have some pretty colors and the logo now, they're really girly and fun. And I have some other things in the works. So please stay tuned, guys. I know how much this podcast has motivated many people because they reach out to me and I get the emails and the messages. So I'm really trying to set this platform up so that every single body who listens to this podcast can really take something away, or something even tangible, have something tangible that'll really help you through some of life's most difficult challenges. And I have things in the works as we speak for you all. Okay. So moving on, I want to jump into today's topic. I want to speak from the topic of ignoring red flags. Now, for those who don't know what a red flag is, and I'm pretty sure there are people out there who don't know what a red flag is, okay? Red flags is basically a sign that we get that tells us that we should be cautious about a particular person or opportunity or situation. So I'm pretty sure many of us, especially me, okay, we could all attest to the fact that we have met people, we have walked into situations, and we have truly ignored red flags. And me having that personal experience today, I just want to coach on that action that we decide to take to ignore the red flags. Many times these flags are subtle hints that come to warn us for possible issues that could potentially arise within that situation. These red flags are basically another way of God giving us that instinct, that intuition that speaks to us, and it guides us and directs our path. But see, the issue is many of us, okay, nobody is probably exempt. If you're listening to my podcast, I'm pretty sure most of us that are tuned in, most of you that are tuned in right now can attest to the fact that many times we may meet someone and we literally choose to ignore all the red flags that are thrown at us. We rationalize away their lies or their inconsistency or their aloofness. You know, we assume that maybe, just maybe, this red flag that was thrown at us could be changed, for us, right? And sometimes we really feel like we could potentially deal with that red flag, because dealing with the red flag is somehow better than not dealing with that person at all. But see, this is the thing. Ignoring red flags say so much more about you than it does about them. And as I'm brainstorming on this topic, God brought it to my soul clear as day. Because whenever we talk about red flags, we're always pointing a finger. But sometimes we really have to accept the fact that we even ignored the red flags, something within us had to be addressed. Because a healthy person who thinks healthy and knows their worth 100% without a shadow of a doubt will not ignore red flags, because they are in tune with who they are entirely, and they have learned to trust themselves. And see, here's the thing. There's maybe 5 main reasons that I could think of off the top of my head that causes us to ignore those red flags. And I just touched on one of them. One of them being that you don't trust yourself. You don't trust the fact that you can consciously make a decision off of your intuition alone without getting the opinions of other people. Trust your intuition. It will never steer us wrong. Trust me, I'm pretty sure many of you listening to the sound of my voice can attest to the fact that if you have gotten into a relationship or a situationship where you ignored the red flag, I'm pretty sure you can attest to the fact that had you listened, that intuition and that sign that came would not have steered you wrong. So we have to first address the fact that it's okay to trust in yourself and to trust in your thoughts and to trust in the energy that you feel and the shift that you feel when you get around certain people. Number 2, you have to ask yourself, do you love yourself? Right? Because sometimes when we suffer from loving people more than we love ourselves, we often sacrifice ourselves for the love of them. And that kind of leads me to number 3. Are you in love with being in love? If you find yourself constantly ignoring red flags, you have to ask yourself, is it even that person? Or are you just in love with being in love? Side note, I definitely think I'm going to do a whole podcast on that topic. I'm going to make a note in my book because I believe that alone deserves its own podcast. But number 4, are you afraid of loneliness? These are things that we feel when we make the conscious decision to ignore the signs that are telling us that this person may not be good for us. Sometimes loneliness will cause you to be surrounded by people that don't necessarily deserve you. Number 5, do you judge people on their potential instead of their reality? Now, I've talked to you guys about this before in previous became and I'll say it again. I'm always transparent about the struggles that I've dealt with. This is how I became a powerful coach, because I can coach on, and most very, very good life coaches out there, you will notice we all have the ability to coach on both personal experiences and also from a professional level. And I could tell you, if you guys don't know anything about me right by now, you know that I always see the potential in a person. And it took me some time, right? Some failed relationships, even a failed marriage, to really understand that sometimes you have to love a person for who they are at this present time. You have to face that reality. Sure, we could see the best in a person. Sure, we could see, that they could treat us better and do better and live better and be better. But the thing is, the truth is, they may never become what you think they should ultimately become. So you have to be willing to love a person for who they are. And I'm pretty sure if the shoe was on the other foot, you would want someone to love you for who you are today and not for somebody that they hope you would become one day. See, the fact of the matter is that your willingness to ignore a God-given sign is most of the time one of those 5 reasons I've just explained. I'm not saying that you can't have a reason that's unrelated. Maybe it's, the way you were reared. Maybe it's just what you've seen growing up. I'm not saying that there's other reasons, but many times most people can touch on one of those 5 reasons as to why they have decided to ignore those red flags. How many times have you heard a person say that they seen this coming? They knew that this person was going to do this, that they felt something wasn't right about that opportunity or that person. How many times have you heard a person say that they wish they should have followed their instinct? So listen, guys, I'm not going to hold you guys long. I just want to challenge you this week to examine the why behind your choice to ignore the red flags. If you are interconnected with a person and you are feeling like something's not right and you're getting these red flags, but yet you're pressing forward, ask yourself, why are you choosing to ignore them? Examine that. What is it in you that causes you to choose to run headfirst into a danger zone? Because that's what you're doing. So ask yourself, why are you ignoring it? What void are you trying to fill? What is it? What are the things you would have to sacrifice or compromise with if you decide to accept these warning signs and you decide to turn these red flags into yellow flags, into green flags? What are the things that you're going to have to compromise with? See, it's always good for us to weigh the good and the bad. If you choose to jump headfirst into this danger zone with all these red flags and you're just collecting red flags as you go along, ask yourself, what is it that you're going to have to compromise? Are you going to have to compromise who you are, your love for oneself, your respect, your dignity? Examine that. Because I can attest to the fact that many times when we're ignoring red flags, we're just moving through the situation and, moving forward. And we never take time to really examine what's going to happen if I decide to continuously ignore these signs. What could I be losing or sacrificing? And what is it in me that makes me not want to protect myself better? Will the weight of those red flags end up weighing you down? And that's what I want to ask you this week. And it's a rhetorical question. It's something that you want to answer yourself. Will the weight of those red flags weigh you down? Cause sadness? Cause emptiness? Sometimes we ignore these red flags for reasons like being alone, and we end up feeling alone anyway within that situation, because guess what? The situation never came, or the relationship never came to fill those voids. Maybe it was something that you needed to fill within yourself. I don't know what it is for you. Okay. Listen, guys, I just want to thank you guys so very much for joining in yet again another week of the Real Women Chronicles podcast. I want to give you a heads up. I have a new email coming. I'm actually in the process of building a website as we speak for this platform, guys. So it's about to be so much easier for you guys to just go on the website Click whatever platform you want to listen to the podcast on. You'll be able to book me for coaching. You'll be able to shoot me comments.